gentlemen. Got ourselves a bit of a story. What is happening, guys? Man, what a day it has been. Let's roll with the flavor, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get with the program. What is happening? Let's get myself composed. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Forgive me for being so late. $6 billion leaves the FTX platform. We have seen a mad day in the charts, ladies and gentlemen, all fueled by this beef between good old Sam the Bankerman and good old CZ from Binance. Now listen, I guess karma really does play out in the end. That's the truth. Did you just hear that all there? Yeah, let me kill that. Karma does have its ways, ladies and gentlemen. This aura with Sam Bankman-Fried, he's not had the best reputation in the crypto space. Some say that he's more political. He doesn't care about crypto. And now the potential for a buyout by Binance under certain clauses that say that at any point, Caesar could pull out and close off the deal. But look what it's done to crypto. Would now be a good time to see, told you, vector candle recovery. I mean, is it vector candle recovery or is it just an excuse? All of a sudden, these two guys are at each other's throats. Now, all of a sudden, Binance is preparing itself to buy FTX. Would that be a classic pump and dump? Maybe. Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? We are traders and we seek movement. Now, some of you are probably thinking, what's next for Bitcoin? Well, I've been waiting for this 19K zone to be taken. And it has taken, let's say, about 4 days more than what I had anticipated it to be. In the Patreon, we have been waiting for Bitcoin to do this. And a lot of the guys in there have ripped it apart. Vector candle up, vector candle down. And what we're going to do tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is going to break down the charts and understand how is Asia going to respond to this bad boy. Let's have a conversation, guys. Okay, then. Are we good? Is everybody well this evening? Good. Nice. Nice to see you all. Happy days. Scam, bankrupt, fraud. I like that. All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, let's get with the flavor on what we've got right here. The key thing. Now, listen, if you're never going to pay attention to any news or anything, the principle says, and we anticipated Bitcoin to come back up. If you go back to today's live stream, ladies and gentlemen, all we had to do was just remind you of the Brinks box at the lows. And then the NAS, and then price initiates the stop hunt, shift out to the upside. Cool. So let's just dive into the smaller timeframes to understand how that ended up playing out, ladies and gentlemen. Look at where we were. What a story. They did recover the vectors, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the point about liquidity. They don't care about your opinion of price. This is just a money run pool business. It's finished. Money goes in, money comes out. Money gets put in, more money gets put in on top of that. Then the smart money comes in and takes the rest of the liquidity after they had just induced people to step in. Even just looking at this, ladies and gentlemen, you can see bright as day that some of the guys who are maybe divergence traders would understand that there's a little bit of divergence happening at the lows right here. Happy days. They ripped it. They paid the price. But when you look at it from the perspective of the market maker, he doesn't care about your divergences. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes the vectors work, sometimes they don't. When you expect Bitcoin to recover a vector point, it doesn't recover it straight away. At some point, they're going to do it. At some point, divergence is going to work. And this is the game of trading that we are in. Looking at the lows right here, you can see that they come back down and tap the lows. Stopping volume candle comes in at this point, and then they reverse it back up. Now, they only come back into the liquidity over here because everybody had been running short. How are you going to get people to believe that Bitcoin is still strong? Get it above the 20K zone. You've heard me say it many a times. The 20K region is and always will be that psychological zone. Now, Bitcoin has taken a nice little nosedive to the downside, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be getting into price action very shortly, but I'm trying to explain something to you. This was a projection that I put out earlier on to the patrons themselves to get them to understand that given that Bitcoin has recovered this vector zone right here, we would anticipate a move up. They didn't do it, but we projected the retrace down. And sometimes it takes courage, ladies and gentlemen, to just literally go to the chart and say, you know what? I'm just going to take a trade. There's nothing more I can do. I can pull up everything that I have and understand about trading, but it's not going to come to any sense if I don't take a trade and run with it. So when you're breaking down your charts, ladies and gentlemen, you're trying to understand what Bitcoin's going to do next, all of your analysis is dog shit unless you actually put it to the test. Because you're not going to know if your analysis is going to come true or not. You can sit there and be like, okay, yeah, Bitcoin's going to drop because divergences, vector candles, macros, Sam, good old Sam, with his beef with FTX and Binance, whatever. And then you sit back. Well, why didn't you put the money down? Why didn't you take a trade to solidify your understanding of the game? Now, looking at the way Bitcoin has dropped, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, look, that only tells me one thing. That only tells me one thing. It tells me that they're coming back to that point. Asia is going to react to this, and we're going to start seeing some more interesting behavior going probably into Hong Kong this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hong Kong will bring the fire this evening, okay? And if we don't get the fire this evening, ladies and gentlemen, then we will be then in the mindset that price is being prepared for the CPI data on Thursday. Now, Sydney is open, okay? There is a lot of imbalances in the chart. Naturally, we expect Bitcoin to come back up ever so slightly. Going across to other assets across the board, you can see Nasdaq bullied people today. Nasdaq bullied people, it bullied me, but I managed to get my recovery back. Because when you sense the idea of manipulation, when you sit in it enough, you got to have the courage to say, you know what, I'm going for it. I'm going to take the trade because I don't believe it's going to continue at this point. And if it does continue in your favor, happy days. If it doesn't, cut your loss, make a move. Okay? Nasdaq comes down and completely look, they smacked this daily open once, moved away from it, come back down again, gone beyond it, vector candle recovery. Funnily enough, they come back into this vector zone in last New York session itself, but they did actually take out, where is it? Our good old happy days projection zone that we shared to you yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention. The vectors hold true. Okay? It's the when. That's the problem we have. It's the when. Now, given with what's happened right now, ladies and gentlemen, in the marketplace, Nasdaq looks like it's faring pretty well, given that we've had this madness in the chart. They've come back and recovered vector zone 1, vector zone 2, happy days. We do have a couple of vectors down here which could be leading towards that narrative if the CPI data does show that inflation is still increasing. Dixie, let's be honest. The dominance of the dollar hasn't really dropped that aggressively. Japanese traders are starting to shift out. Where is it? Hold on. Japanese yen is climbing up. Not good for the yen. They can't have the yen moving up so much. Okay? And they're still doing that business with regards to dollar yen itself. And dollar yen is still back in the same region that it has been. Not too far away from that 150 zone, ladies and gentlemen. And the CPI data, given that we are hearing talks that we are in somewhat the prospect of a mild recession going into 2023. Remember, recession doesn't happen overnight. It's a progressive thing. We need to start seeing some people getting laid off in businesses. That's the case right now, okay? The data on Thursday will dictate how bad the inflation is. And even if the data shows that inflation isn't, or should I say hasn't peaked, okay? Or should say has peaked, for the short term, we would naturally see the market move back up, which could suggest that Bitcoin, given that it's dropped 10%, ladies and gentlemen, might see a little bit of a recovery. But if this beef regarding FTX and Binance, if that's going to be sustained and $6 billion worth of liquidity leaves the marketplace, let's just have a look at how many people got liquidated. I think 6 billion is nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a look at the money that was actually taken today in terms of traders not taking their profits. Here we go. This is the 12-hour chart. Let's go to the 7-day chart just to understand what liquidity has been taken. All right? Here we go. Ouch. Very ouch. Here we go. First zone. 4.6 billion right there. All right? And people are cussing about 6 billion leaving FTX. Cool. Let's go even lower. What have we got? 2.96. That's on the left side. Let's go over here. 2.492. Go down lower. 2 billion. Down. 1.7 billion. Down. 1.734 billion. Down. 1.16 billion. Let's go down here. 1.8 billion. 2.6 billion. I mean, 1.086 million. Yeah, so 1 billion and 86 million down there. And let's go down a little bit here, ladies and gentlemen, to 1.4 billion. Let's go down 2 billion at 2.6 billion. 1.86 billion again. And just a little bit, 807 million. I mean, come on. That's a little bit of an exaggeration right there. 6 billion leaves FTX, and no one pays attention to the fact that retail has just lost a shit ton of cash. Who's won? FTX has probably won. Binance has probably won. Market makers probably won. But let's all feel bad for good old Sam and FTX because that liquidity has left that platform. Again, the idea of trading is not to care about your opinion of where price is going to go. You don't care about value in cryptocurrency. You can care about utility. That's a different story. All right? You can only really pay attention to the price of Bitcoin if you bought Bitcoin at 50 cents and you look at it right now and it's still sitting handsomely in your favor. Okay? That's really what you got to be paying attention to. Those people don't even need to worry about what's going on right now. And even where Bitcoin could go down to potentially 8K or even 10K, you're still sitting nice. All right? But what I'm trying to convey to you, ladies and gentlemen, is it's just a money game. That's all it is. Okay? Ethereum, earlier on today, Ethereum gave us the clues, man. Ethereum really did give us the clues because you look to the left, Ethereum hadn't recovered those vector candles right there. Well, it was on its way to recover the vectors, but Bitcoin hadn't made the move, suggesting that Bitcoin was likely to do it. Bitcoin and Ethereum, listen, pay attention to how Bitcoin and Ethereum moves. Bitcoin will always move slower than Ethereum because Ethereum doesn't have that much more liquidity than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the most commonly traded asset, okay? So if it takes $50 billion in Bitcoin to be bought or sold, it's going to take a little while. Whereas 10 billion in Ethereum might not take as long and they can just shift it out. In other words, as an altcoin, it's more volatile. And you can see that as bright as they look. What $1,200 smack back to the. It's disgusting. Let's just go on a vector candle hunt, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that sickness right there. Vector candle recovery. Despicable. Wow. Look at that. What do you want me to say? So, by that principle, ladies and gentlemen, are we in agreement? Are we in agreement? Bitcoin 12K? Are we in agreement? Bitcoin 8K? Give the market a reason to get rid of cash, put it back in, they're going to take advantage of it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the truth. And the sooner you align yourself with that understanding, you're not going to be caught out in any surprises. Looking at the way Bitcoin behaved today, this was a typical stop, hunt, rise, drop. When they hit the vector candle recovery zone, that's where they reverse from because they've just freed up the liquidity, ladies and gentlemen. This is the truth. What I mean by they freed up the liquidity, just for the guy who may be new to the channel, mad love and respect to anyone passing through. If you are new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. I am going on a little bit of a rant right now, and I have turned up late, so please forgive me in that instance. But let me explain to you what I mean by when a vector candle zone gets recovered, okay, that it releases liquidity and it usually reverses from that point. Take consideration to this area here, okay? If you take 50% of the candlestick, look at where they've turned from. I was talking about this with the Patreons and getting them to understand that this is where we expect Bitcoin to turn. I've been calling for 19 because I want 19K to prove to me that if they do come back down towards 19, that is when they're going to start the flavor. And they broke the zone in Bitcoin, where if they were to break it, that would be the one point that they could grab interest from. And they got the interest. The problem is, in an hour and 14 minutes time, there could be a chance of a vector candle wick getting recovered. Now listen, 50% of the vector candle itself is very important because this candlestick wasn't a vector candle beforehand. It became a vector. In other words, Mr. Market Maker had induced traders to believe that things were starting to roll over, got them into that belief, and price continued to drop down. Then he started to move price with aggression and speed. That's why it became a vector candle. It became a vector candle probably around 75% of the completion of the candlestick. So in an hour candle itself, or should I say in a daily candle itself, it probably achieved it, I'd say 2/3 of the way into the trading session. That would mean halfway into the New York session, okay? Maybe a little bit sooner. So when you see them come up into a vector candle zone, have in your minds that if they can't recover more than 50% of the zone, then the move to the upside here is not sustained. You see, you've got to ask yourself the question, look at this green vector candle. Has it really gained ground? That was the clue. Because look at the actual difference in price. They moved aggressively to the upside, but quite frankly, when you look at it from this previous wick to where the green vector completed, 0.26%. That's nothing. $54. After all that move right there, you could only achieve a $50 gain. And then you just burted a little bit up here, which didn't even show conviction, hit the previous liquidity. Everyone now that has been short has now paid the price. Mr. Market Maker has everyone's attention because Bitcoin's bottoming out and the bottom is in. Where's this bottom, ladies and gentlemen? The only bottom that is in is on the ass of the guys that thought that this was the bottom. Now, listen, maybe this could be the bottom, ladies and gentlemen, but we've got too much shit happening in the marketplace and there's still a lot more liquidity for them to grab. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, if my tone is somewhat a little bit forward, I've got to tell you the truth. That's how it is. If you've made money today, congratulations. Guess what? The market is open tomorrow because the guarantee I give you, ladies and gentlemen, is there will always be a market tomorrow. If you got liquidated today, that is a sad, unfortunate event. Welcome to the hardest, easiest way to make money. Going into Asia tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we will be expecting a little bit of a reaction from them. So please, if you've made good money today, finish. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are the days where you can make the most amount of liquidity if your trades play out in your favor. Why? Because in terms of probability, you are trading the most busiest times of the week. I'm not interested in weekends, man. If market makers sitting back chilling, why am I not sitting back chilling? Why are you there at your charts just to grab a bit of volatility, which ain't always guaranteed? Fuck that. Nah, man. Preserve your capital, ladies and gentlemen, because you get beautiful moves like this. I apologize for being late again, ladies and gentlemen. Mad love and respect for everyone passing through. If you are new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. You want to learn more about the hybrid, check out the Patreon pin to the top of the chat. Pattern watchers, mad love, peace.